Do you feel that your output is not equaling your input? Maybe you've been doing all the things in your business, such as sowing seeds, the marketing, you've been doing the sales, but yet your business still feel chaotic and maybe you're still feeling a bit stuck in that messy middle, trying to figure out how do you go from point A and overcome the gap of what we call that messy middle and figuring out what's the leap to get to the fulfillment of your vision. Listen, if that's you, today's episode is going to be a blessing as we tap into going from chaos to making a kingdom impact through seven-figure systems. Yes, we're going to talk about getting your business organized with systems that will propel it into that next level of impact and income. Because we want to be reminded that God is a God of order. So wherever there is chaos, then there's likely there's something dealing with a system that needs to be just restructured or even put in place. So let's talk about how you can be effective in doing that and still making a great impact.
What's up, leader? Welcome to the Gifted Entrepreneur Show, the dopest podcast on the planet that explores the world of Christian entrepreneurship and reveals secrets to unlocking your unique codes to create generational wealth. I'm your host, LaDondra Hervey, wife, mom, award winning author, and Christian business coach who's excited to take you on a transformational journey of taking bold steps to unlock your unique gifts and pursue your entrepreneurial dreams with unwavering faith. Buckle up. It's time to make your dreams of creating generational wealth a reality. Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to the Gifted Entrepreneur Show, where we unlock those God given codes to creating generational wealth. And y'all, today I'm excited. I'm excited because we have a phenomenal Christian leader who is on the show today, who is about to give us just so much wisdom that you're going to get to tap into. So, when we talk about the codes, we know that the C is all about unlocking that creativity. The O is the operations, which our guest is going to tap into. And then the D is about cultivating that dominion mindset. We have that E in creating that time expansion, and the S is on scaling. And so, you guys, when we think about scaling our businesses and getting to that next level, growing from that place of being in that messy middle, there is always some key component that you are needing in order to grow your business. And I know as creatives and visionaries, what we're about to talk about today, it's not sexy, but can I tell you, it's relevant. It is so relevant to everything that you do. So, if you're wondering what is that, it's systems. Like I said, those systems are so important in setting up your business. So, we're going to have an amazing guest, Miss Dena Patton, who is an inspirational speaker and distinguished business coach who specializes in guiding Christian leaders. With a proven record, she has worked with thousands of purpose driven business owners and influential leaders across the globe. She's dedicated to cultivating great leaders, and she's at the forefront of building remarkable companies. And with her coaching career spanning over 29 years, she really focuses on three pillars of coaching, which is systems, efficient systems, strategic sales, and great leadership. She also has an amazing nonprofit called The Girls Rule Foundation, and she is the co creator of, y'all get this, I love it, Happy Hour with Jesus. And at the heart of her leadership philosophy are six core values: it's courage, accountability, authenticity, faith, integrity, and fun. Y'all, help me welcome Dena Patton to the stage as we are getting in. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. What an intro. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so happy to dig into this topic with you today because you just, as we were in the green room, you were sharing so much wisdom. And so I just can't wait to get in it. But before we get into all of that, you have a amazing bio. Can I ask, like, what is your passion for the work that you do right now? Like, what inspired you to get into this?
Really, my passion is transformation and purpose, helping people transform their life and really get into a life of purpose and build delivery platforms for that purpose. And so, what that looks like is, as you said, I kind of have three things. I have my core business, my coaching business, where I do a lot of speaking too. And then I have my nonprofit, which is my philanthropy work, which is leadership training for teen girls. And then Happy Hour with Jesus, which is my Bible studies. And every single one of them is based in helping people live a life of greatness, of purpose, of fulfilling their biggest dreams and their highest self. So I just do it in a few different ways, but really, when you boil it all down, that's what it comes down to. And really, what businesses are our biggest opportunity and biggest delivery platform for our gifts and our purpose. But people sometimes don't see it that way. You know, you're selling a widget, you're selling a thing, you're selling a product, a service, and that is true. But when we can see it as a delivery platform for, actually, I call it the three G's, our gifts, our God, and our greatness, you see your business in a really, really different way. And so that's, really what I've been doing for 23 years, and I had a PR and marketing agency before that. But here's the funny thing: when you are off path, off your purpose, off path, God has a way of course correcting you. So I had a minor stroke when I was 27, and that was my blessed interruption where God just said, "Girl, you are on the wrong path. You are not using your gifts in the way that I want you to use them." And it was a real year of really coming back to God, coming back to myself, trusting my gifts, and starting this business, which has been 23 years. So, yeah, it's been a journey, but at the heart of it, I really just got that when I base my life and my business off of my three things: my gifts, my God, and my greatness, I make a huge difference in the world. And when I do that, not only am I making a difference and helping people, but I'm making money too and making a living out of it. And I think sometimes we don't trust our gifts. We're like, oh, we could never make money off of our gifts. God gave us these amazing, amazing things, and then we put it aside. Right? Oh, we'll put it over there and we'll do it one day. It's like, no, no, no. Bring it forward and own it and put it in the middle of your business. So that's a little bit of what I've gone through and how I got here today.
No, I love that. And I love how you said it was a blessed interruption. A lot of times people can look at their situation and, like, almost like a woe is me kind of situation, but you use that as redirection.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so what are you trying to get my attention on, God? And I love that you said it's gifts, God, and your greatness. That is just phenomenal. So when you think about that, a lot of times we are on our journeys and of entrepreneur, and we may have started a journey that we felt like our family wanted us to step into, or it could be our gifts or just the expectations of what the industries is telling us. But how do you know, like, when you're in that sweet spot and you're operating from your God-given gifts versus from a place of pressure and other
Mm,
people's expectations?
yeah. So I think that especially women, we can get into shoulds, right? I should do this, and my mom told me I should do this or be this. And I think we can really get, it's a very much of a place of shame and should versus a place of really digging into yourself and saying, what are my gifts? What are my um, uh, contribution to the world? What is my purpose? Where does God want to lead me? And it's really scary doing that work. And it's really scary trusting because, especially as women, when I did this, I was a single 27-year-old living in New York City with my one bedroom apartment was $2,500. I was like, I can't just wing it here.
Yeah.
Like I've got rent. So it's really scary to step out on a limb and say, these are my gifts and I can make a business out of it, or I can bring my gifts into my business that I have right now. And I think it comes from one, a lot of prayer, two, a lot of reflection and getting honest, like radical honesty with yourself, and checking yourself. Are you in a pile of shoulds? And whether that's your own should or parents or wherever the pressure is coming from. I think today on social media, we can look at, business coaches are a dime a dozen. I can open up Instagram and see 1,000 business coaches and I can compare myself all day long to them, right? It doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve my brand. It doesn't serve what I'm up to. In fact, I mean, I keep the kind of my thumb on the pulse of coaching, and I'm in, a couple coaching groups. It's not that I hide my head in the sand, but I do not look at other people. What are they doing? What does she do? Oh God, she's on her fourth book. I only have one book. Oh, she got the keynote. I didn't. It's just really damaging, I think, when we compare ourselves, just like we would tell our kids. I have a teen girl. I always tell, do not compare yourself to that girl's body, that girl's grades. We have to tell ourselves that and say, don't you look at her business and compare yourself. You keep your eyes on your own track, your vision, your values, your purpose. And when we do that, God just multiplies it. But when we are playing a worldly game instead of a godly game, oh man, we get in trouble. There's a lot of danger in the worldly games. And I think one of the worldly games is comparison. So it's not a game you want to win. So I would say check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yes.
Don't play that game. Check yourself and say, wow, I've been comparing and I'm going to stop that. I'm going to water my own grass. I'm going to really dial down in 2025. And what is my brand? What is my stand? What are my visions? What are my values? What are my purpose? Focus on that, build around that, and you're going to succeed.
That's phenomenal. You actually said a mouthful, and I hope you really took to what she said here, because comparison, like they say, it can be a thief, and it can be a thief of your vision. It can be a thief of those values that she's talking about. It can be a thief of you walking in the fullness of your God-given assignment, and you're maybe finding yourself in a place to where you're like, well, why is my business not taking off in the way that I envision in my mind? Perhaps
Mm,
is that you need to shut down the noise and shut down the comparisons, because you said, does that make sense? It absolutely makes sense to me, because I found myself in that place at the early parts of my business. I went in a networking event. I was totally myself. But then when I walked out of it, I felt like I had to conform to the norms of what traditional business was, because they were older than I was. They had more experience and all of these different things. But what I found is I lost myself in the process, and that I lost that fire. I lost that
mm,
creative knack that I had, and just so many things. And so what you're saying is so true when it comes to finding your spot in what you've been assigned to do. We all have a territory, and no one can do it like you can. So although there may be a lot of people in the beauty industry, coaches and so on and so forth, no one can do it like you do. And so
no.
when we were in the green room, we were talking about a few things as far as when, our audience are women who be in that messy middle of their business. It's like,
Mhm.
hey, I got this thing and it's going pretty good, but like I can't seem to go from this growth stage to really scale into the next level. What are why do you think that's so? And what would be some recommendations that you would have for someone who's in that stage of growth?
Yeah. So I would say the number one thing you've got to focus on is creating systems because it's really exhausting every day to start from zero, right? And just be doing things over and over and over again. If you do anything repetitive, it should have a system. Here's the 4 steps of paying our bills. Here are the 7 steps of onboarding a new client, right? Here's, if you're booking on podcast or speaking, I have a VA that her full-time job is just booking me on podcasts and speaking because there's many systems to manage there, right? And so how she books me on speaking and podcasts, we have a system and there's pieces, there's lots of moving parts that she has to manage. So everything in your business needs a system. I would say 95%.
I
Everything
agree.
needs a system. So especially key elements like admin, every piece of admin needs to be systemized. One of the hot spots that I really want to emphasize is if you are a service, any kind of service, you want to look at how you onboard clients. So, say you've had a consultation, they want to buy from you. Now, what? What I have seen in 23 years of coaching entrepreneurs, and 90% of my clients are service based entrepreneurs, um, is they freeze. They're like, oh, it's great that I got the sale. Now what? I've got to wing it. I've got to get their information, got their, there should be a very clear system. So I'm so happy that you picked package A. What's going to happen next? That's the bridge. What's going to happen next is, and you tell them what's going to happen. You're going to get an email from my onboarding assistant. There's 3 pieces to that. I'm just winging it here, but there's the payment link, there's the date that we're going to start, and your homework. And so that's step 1. Step 2 is email 2 is then the surveys. Most coaches all have pre-surveys, right? Survey 1, survey 2. So I'm just going to give them a little bit of insight of, I'm so excited you have package A. What's going to happen next is you're going to get an email from me or my assistant in the next 24 hours. We'll have the payment link, the date of our first session, and it's going to have some homework. Then in a few days, she'll send you the link for some surveys. And that's just going to get you onboarded so we can start, I need to audit your brand. I need to do some of my pre-work. I spend 3 to 4 hours before our first session. I'm just giving them a little bit of like behind the scenes. And so that I come to the first session really clear in what your brand is and what you need. And they're like, okay, great. Right. So, and then the onboarding starts. So it's really important. And that is just for one-on-one coaching. If I was doing like one of my 3-day retreats, there's 25 steps that we have to do on our side to get a client taken care of for a 3-day retreat, right? So that's the important piece is that every time I book a 3-day retreat, I have the same exact system. There's 25 things that she has to do, my booking manager. And so I encourage you just to think when you sell your product or service, then what? Then what? Then what? That becomes your system. And then here's the great news, you guys. When you create a system, now it's delegatable. You can delegate that thing to a VA, a virtual assistant, or an assistant that now manages that system. So what a lot of people are probably feeling is they have their plate, and that plate is totally overwhelming. There's so many things on their plate. Here's what you do. You take the most important things to your revenue, like your sales system, your onboarding system, your customer service. Those are really important. And you systemize it so that you can delegate it. It's very hard to find, you find an assistant or a VA, and it's like, oh, I found this person, but you have no systems to train them in, right? So it's important that I believe you create the system, then you delegate it, create the system, then you delegate it. And start with the first 2 or 3 systems and get that off your plate, right? You can hire a VA for 5 hours a week and say, okay, you're just in charge of these 3 systems. And then build on that, and then add another one, and then add another one. And all of a sudden, you're getting things off of your plate and onto her plate. And that's the key to start becoming a CEO is, is you're not a master of everything. You're a master of systems and strategy. An entrepreneur flails in, they're a master of everything. And that doesn't get you far. It just keeps you spinning and overwhelmed, right?
Yeah, that's so good. If I heard you correctly, so you said there was a few systems that were important. There was sales, there's the onboarding, and it was one more that you said
Customer
for
service.
customer service.
Yeah.
So those would those be the top three systems that you recommend starting with and getting that
Those 3.
foundation set? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
And admin is in there, like managing your calendar, managing your calendar is really important because if you don't manage your time, we become a victim of our calendar.
Yeah,
And you just become pulled so thin. So, systemizing your calendar. I literally could speak 2 hours on how to just systemize and manage your calendar so that you work literally half the hours that you are working. I run 3 businesses and I only work 35 hours, but it took me years to understand it's mastering your calendar and how you spend your time and systems to cut those hours from 70 hours to 35. So that would be my 4th is that admin piece, everything to do with your admin, which is overwhelming, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love those. And I love that. Here's one of the things that as I'm listening, when you start to take the time, because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we're like, well, I don't have time. Well, the thing about that is, from what I'm hearing from you, and even from my own experience, and just having to slow down, because I was the one who would say, I don't have time. I was one of us who would say that,
Yes.
but it's almost like you don't have time to not create
Not.
those systems because, like you
Yes.
said, you buy back your time. And so as you're managing those 3 businesses, now it's not like you're putting yourself in this hustle mode, but really
Mhm.
you're setting yourself up to have peace
Yes.
and to have what I would say is your peace and prosperity. And
Yes.
we need both of those as we are growing as Christian entrepreneurs, because a lot of times when we look at other entrepreneurs and it's like, they do is hustle all the time. Like, that's not attractive. And so it's like, well, that makes them no different than the world. And
Right.
so when we're doing business God's way, I believe that exactly what you said, setting those systems up, God is a God of order. And so when we set things in order, then it frees us up to serve in the kingdom in a way to where we're making the impact and the income that we know that we've been called to make.
Mhm.
So my as we're kind of wrapping things up, I want to ask you, what is a sign of a broken system? Like, how do I know if something is off, or and what can I do about it?
So I have a saying, where there is chaos, there is no system. So you can give, I go into larger businesses, 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, even 100 million. And what I do is I do an audit and I'm looking for where is the chaos. It's kind of like a plumber looking for the leaks, right? I'm looking for where there are chaos, and sometimes it's super micro, right? It's really in a nuance. And that's where there's no system or a broken system. So if there's, just look back in the last 30 days in your business, where have there been breakdowns, conflict, frustrations, struggle? There's usually just like dig down in there, and there's probably a broken system or no
Mhm.
system. So that's how you can do a self audit and just really look. Again, a lot of this is radical honesty, and it's just auditing yourself and calling yourself to build a kingdom business takes a lot of authenticity and honesty, and cutting away the things that no longer serve you. And they're helping you win a worldly game, not a godly game. And listen, living in chaos is not a game that you want to win, but we're always winning the game we're playing. If you are playing the game called, I never have time, I'm totally hustling, I'm so busy, you're winning that game. But are you winning the game called, I'm building a great business that's a kingdom business that's honoring my purpose and my gifts? Are you winning that game? Right? And making a difference in the world, and getting that impact and income that you want. They're two separate games. So you're winning, you're just might be winning the wrong game. And today is a great day to say, I'm done winning that game over there. I spent a lot of years in smallness games, fear games, scarcity games, until I learned how to self audit myself, learn tools, hire coaches, put myself in learning situations before there was, podcasts and the internet. My first business, to age myself, we didn't even have an email. Like we faxed things to each other, right? So, but now there's so much learning. I mean, you can pull up YouTube, you can pull up podcasts about a specific subject that you need to dial in to your business, but make it a game. Like, I'm going to systemize, I'm going to create one system a week for the next 6 weeks. That's a game to win, right? And you'll be shocked at sometimes creating a system is 1 hour, less than an hour sometimes. So I challenge everybody. That is a greatness game. My book is called The Greatness Game, and I am all about challenging people to games that are worthy, that help you in your purpose, your values, your building a great company. And that's a greatness game is I'm going to build one system a week. And what's going to happen is you're going to realize it's a lot easier than you think. And you're going to be like, oh, I can build two and then build three. And all of a sudden, your systems within a month or two, your systems are going to be done. And you're going to be like, wow, I have it's all my systems done in my business. So, and you're going to see, here's the benefit. It becomes a well-oiled machine. And that's what we want to get to. CEO mindset is a mindset that is focused on strategy. How do I get to my vision? And systems, well-oiled machine, so that you're operating from a place of grace and power and gifts and greatness, not from a place of chaos. And that's where I think a lot of entrepreneurs just get stuck.
Yes, I agree. Y'all, take that challenge. Take the challenge, one system per week for the next 6 weeks. Like, that is the greatness game. I love that. So, where can people find your book, and where can they follow you and all the amazing things that you're up to, Dina?
Absolutely. Super easy. It's my website, denapatton.com, DENAPATTON.com. My book, my services, all my jam is there. Connect with me on social media. That's on there too. So super easy.
Okay, I have it. And you guys, I'm going to put that in the notes as well. So if you are in the podcast notes, so you'll have that and you can refer back to it.
Dena, we really appreciate you for being here. We're all better for it. Thank you for your time and for sowing so much wisdom into us. You guys, you take a moment, go back and reflect on this because it can be easy to be a hero of a thing. But then what I want to challenge you to do is to do something with what you've heard today. So until next time, continue to stay blessed by the best. Did that episode feel juicy or what? If so, please do me a favor and take 30 seconds to write a review. Your review helps us to spread the mission of creating generational wealth around the world. And if you tag me on IG stories, I'll be sure to reshare the love. And don't forget to join our Kingdom Collaborators Network, where we're coming together to intentionally collaborate to grow our business. Until next time, remember, for with Christ, nothing is impossible.